I can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon, students. Please keep quiet. You're going to hear what they're going to say. We are so sorry that the audio is not as loud as it should be or high as it should be. But some of us have been here before. This is not how we have always had our programs. We have always had it very better than this, but I don't know, maybe because of the whole issue of logistics. But nevertheless, we're here to do what we've always been doing with you guys over the years. And today, some of you that wrote this are going to get your, you are going to actually know who our winners are, or who they are, who the person is. Thank you everyone for being here. Today we are celebrating something that we are all familiar with over the years with the school. It's not a new terrain. For those of us that have been here last year, and those for the old students, outside the new students that joined that, I believe the SS1 students. So I believe the SS2 students actually have a background knowledge of what we are doing here today. So it's not a strange thing to you. We are supposed to start earlier than this, but we're starting a bit late because of issues like I said, logistic issues and all that. So thank you all for making our time to attend this event. We actually have a book for everyone that's here. This is the World Global Capitalism Day, and we're trying to create an awareness about entrepreneurship. A lot of people have been writing essays, doing competitions with us. Please, no side talk, please. So we're here to do the normal introduction to our friends who are linking up with us from the US, and we are going to share experiences of the author, the one that wrote the Johnny Profits book that some of you have had over the years. We are going to see the new ones to you guys. So this is the event we are about to start. We are going to make a presentation because the person I'm going to speak with before Michael, she's going to be leaving, she's traveling, so she needs to do her presentation as early as possible. So just listen. If I were you, I would take my pen and paper, take down whatever she needs to say, and then when it is time for you to ask questions, you're going to ask questions. So please, I will call on her to do her presentation. Please, respect. Hello? Even if I ask you to take your pen and paper, I don't give you the right to make noise. Respect the environment where we are in. Compose yourself, because right now people are watching you live, and we are not the only one that's watching you. Not these two persons are watching you. So please, if you know you're not interested, it is more comfortable and more honorable to take a walk. But for you to stay out and discuss with people that actually have an interest in this. Are we not that? Yes. So we're setting out the ground with no side talk. The next person that's talking beside you, you are the person who has to leave. So please, let's focus and pay attention. Thank you very much. All right, Lee, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, you can do your presentation. Thank you very much.
Yes, good afternoon, students. For you, it's afternoon. For me, it's very early in the morning. Can you hear me clearly? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, my name is Lee, and I am made in China. Have you ever seen anything made in China? And do you know? I'm sure you know the word China, and I want you to imagine what China is like. Probably you already have some idea what China is really like, and but what I'm going to tell you probably is something you didn't think about it, you didn't know about it. It's different kind of China than you imagined. I was born in China in 1958, so long time ago. That time China was very, very poor. I think some people think Africa is poor, but China was much more poor than Africa, than any country in the world. That's when I was born. Now China is no longer very poor in big cities, but in villages it is still very, very poor. And children, I saw you all have uniform on since and you have a big room and table and chair for your school. No, in China, many places there's no room, big rooms for children to go to school, and of course they don't have uniforms, and they hardly even have textbooks. They don't have anything. Only the big cities students have good school to go to and good teachers. But China has a lot of villages, and there's some children never get to go to school, and many people grown up without, knowing how to read and write. So why China is like that? Because China is a communist country. What does communist mean? I don't know if you have learned about that in school or not. Communist means the government controls everything. It's a dictatorship. Dictatorship means that one person tells everybody else what to do. And China, not just the dictator, his name is Xi Jinping. He's not only telling people what to do, he's also telling people what to think. He wants the whole country, 1.3 or 1.4 billion people, to think what he wants them to think in one way, just one thought. That's what he wants people to do. And he's controlling that. So in China, people cannot have a free mind. Even you have different mind, you think differently, you cannot tell people, you cannot let other people know, otherwise you'll be in trouble. So you can think about things secretly. That's why China doesn't have much inventions. Mostly they do is copy other people, because they cannot invent, they cannot think freely. Everything they think, for example, they have a good idea about something, they have to ask their boss, which is Communist Party, is it okay? Most of the time it's not okay. So people don't want to have a trouble, so they just don't think anymore. You probably have seen things that's made in China. And maybe in your house, in your home, you have things made in China. That's true. China is a big, we call it factory of the world. They make a lot of things and sell to the whole world. And but they're making things for other people. It's not something that they invented. It's the factory owners, usually not Chinese people. And they give Chinese people machines, materials, ask them to make things. This is called outsourcing. Or the Chinese copied the products the other country made, and they just make it cheaper with lesser quality and sell to the world. So I'm embarrassed to say, when I travel to different worlds, when people think about made in China stuff, they think about fake things, low quality things, cheap things like that. So there's a reason for that. I just told you, because they don't invent, they don't create new ideas. They have no new inventions. That's why they only can copy. And in order to compete in the marketplace, they have to make it cheaper. So how China became that? Let me tell you the story from the very beginning. When I was born, that China was a young country at that time. China, the People's Republic of China, established in 1949. And so I was born 9 years after that. So China was a relatively young country at the time. So the Communist Party, they when they took over China, they kicked out the old government, and they promised people they will provide equality. So that's why they got a lot of support from the people, because by at that time, majority of the Chinese people, more than 80%, were farmers. So they were very poor. So they like the idea that they can become rich. And the government promised them they can become rich. And they didn't ask government how. They didn't know how. So they supported this new communist government. And the communist government, they have a wrong idea of helping people become rich. They just take away the land and money and the businesses from the rich people, from the landlord, by force. They just take it. They either shoot the landlords, kill them, or force them to give up their properties, factories, stores, and or put those people in prison. So they forcefully, I would say, steal or rob the so-called rich people and redistribute, giving it to the people who didn't have land or who's not the owner of the store or the factory. At the beginning, everybody was happy because they didn't work for the things they get. Government just gave it to them for free. Doesn't anybody want free things? Yeah. So they were happy. They loved this kind of government. But you think about it. If one of your classmates have 10 pencils, and the teacher just took all his 10 pencils and gave to other students, what happens? That person who had 10 pencils have nothing left. And then when you finish using your pencil, there's no more pencil for everybody. Nobody has any more pencils because nobody is making them. The person who used to have 10 pencils, maybe he was rich. So he had the money to buy the pencil, or he know how to make the pencils. And now he thought, why I make pencils? Why I buy pencils? The teacher's just going to take it away from me. So I don't want to buy it for everybody. And also, teacher probably took his money also. He has no more money to buy. At the beginning, everybody who got the pencil was happy, but then at the end, no more new pencils, and then you finish using the pencils, and nobody has any pencils. So that's what happened in China. After 2 years, nobody had food. There's nothing to eat. And also, the government took away all the factories and stores because they say it's not fair. Somebody has the stores, they can sell things and they can make money and they can become rich. Other people have to go to the store to buy. So they took away all the stores, make the stores ownership to their own hands, become government owned. All the schools, stores, hospitals, banks, factories, land, every single thing became government owned because the government said, only I own it. It could be fair. And I can decide what people need. And they decide each person need only one pair of shoes. You need only a few clothes. You don't need many things. And they tell you how much food you can have and how much vegetable you can have, how much salt, sugar, oil, even soap. The government tells people all about this and controlled. So at that time, we all have little coupons. And the government gave us once a month, and we can go get the food. But we cannot get more than what the government tells us to get. For example, we can get 1 liter of oil per month. We can get, I don't remember, my father smoked, and maybe 2 packages of a cigarette. No, 1 carton of cigarette per month. And you can take a bath once a week. You can get a haircut once a month. Government tells us all of this and controlled. And they said capitalism is evil because capitalism can make some people wealthy. So they're anti-capitalism. So they think that's better because everybody have the same thing and same amount of food, same size of the house, same kind of clothes, even the color. You cannot wear something like today I wear because there's too much color. It's not good. And there's no jewelry allowed. Now these things are not allowed when I was growing up. You cannot be prettier than another person. It's not fair. You cannot have a different style of hair than other people because it's not fair. Everything is about fairness. So soon, in less than 15 years, China became very, very poor. People were dying of starvation, even in the cities. I was born in the cities. My mother was a university professor. My father was a medical doctor. Usually those people are very, should be respected and should be considered a good job. But even our family were very poor. We didn't have food to eat and we're constantly hungry. And just a little bit better than the farmers. Think about it. Farmers are the people who grow food, who produce, but they're always hungry because when they produce food, they cannot keep anything. The government take everything away and then give them a little bit back, very little bit back. So they have less food to eat. And there's no stores you can buy anything. Farmers have no money either because you cannot sell anything. Then, of course, you have no money. So the situation lasted for a long time. Until 1980s, China, the government realized they cannot continue to do what they have been doing because the whole country, everybody was starving. So nowadays, people call it China miracle. Actually, it was not a miracle. Just the government said, okay, we don't know what to do. So we just let the farmer to decide what they want to grow on the land. They just give the land divided equally to each peasant in one village that time. A village chief said, okay, I will let you all have this, the right to use this piece of land. It's not an ownership, just to use this piece of land and to grow whatever you want to grow and give the village, the government certain amount, and you can keep the rest. You can keep the rest to eat by yourself, or you can keep the rest to sell to other people. Immediately, everybody got incentive because if they grow more, after they give to the government, they have more left over for themselves. So they worked really hard. They took good care of the land and they produced more food. So in half a year, just one season for the farmer, they are no longer hungry. They have enough food to eat. And they even have more extra to sell to other people. They have food. They have things to feed their chicken, their pigs, their animals, so they can have meat to eat. They have eggs to eat. Before they didn't, because they were too poor. They couldn't even have food. How can they have anything to feed the chicken and the animals, the pigs and the cows, right? So because that village did that, just by the chief said, okay, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I give you freedom. You do whatever you see fit. Maybe you don't have a good land, so you can plant some trees for fruit, or you can grow some vegetables, not rice or wheat. So everybody have freedom to decide for themselves for the first time. Immediately, things changed. So some other villages nearby want to copy that because they want to be able to have enough food to eat too, to be prosperous. But some other village, they were afraid because the government always told them capitalism is evil. This kind of freedom, this is capitalism. And they're so afraid. They said, no, we don't want capitalism. We rather poor and hungry and die. We don't want good life. Good life means capitalism. But that's the chief of the villages thought that way because they're communist government officials. But ordinary people, they don't believe that. They only believe, I want to have food to eat. I want to have clothes to wear. I want to have money to send my children to school. I want to wear shoes. I want to be able to buy nice things. I want to be pretty. That's ordinary people's desire. So more and more villages was copying the other village. The village name is Xiaogang. Everybody would try to imitate. So the central government heard about this and said, okay, go ahead and do it. We're not going to control you. That's how China changed. People call it Chinese miracle, but it's miracle by the people. It's not by the government. Only thing government did was let go the control. Stop telling people things. And when they tell people things, we call that planned economy because the government planned the economy. But now they stop planning. They let people have freedom to choose, to decide. We call it free market economy. So free market, I think you guys are probably very familiar with, means people can have things they don't need or they have produced too much. They go to the street on the sidewalk. They start selling it. They start having a little market, selling things to each other. This family had a lot of eggs. That family had chicken. That family had made clothes. That family, have a watermelon, have an apple. So they start to have an exchange. They start selling things. So that's called the market. Market economy is the healthy, that's good economy. Planned economy doesn't work. So after the peasants start become rich, and the city people said, we want to become rich too, because the city people, they have jobs, all government jobs. Government give them pay, salary. It's all controlled. It's not by how good you are. You're smart, you're a hard worker, or you have skills. No, government just say everybody get the same pay. My mother's university professor, my father's medical doctor, their jobs are very, very different. But their salary are the same, exactly the same, because they're same age. They go by age or by the year you graduate from university. So I remember for more than 10 years. My parents have exactly the same salary, never changed. They are both exactly the same, equivalent to $10 today, per month. That much, because then they saw farmers all have more money and more food to eat. So the city people said, we want change too. So then the government also saw, capitalism can make you rich. So they also got involved. They start to open restaurants and businesses, and they start selling their products, not just doing whatever the government told them to do. For example, the shoe factories, they start to make different style of shoes, not the kind the government told them to. They will study the market and see what's fashionable and what people would like to wear. They start making all that kind of shoes, different colors, different style, and then they start to sell on the market. They tell the workers, you can take the shoes and sell on the street. And so that time in China, I remember early 1980s, we don't go to stores anymore because the stores are still owned by the government. There's nothing in there. It's very boring. We go to the street. We call it, at the beginning, they call it black market because it's kind of illegal. But later on, it's just called free market. We go to the street to buy things because it's nicer, cheaper, and fashionable, different colors. And at the same time, a lot of foreign countries, mostly United States and European countries, they start to open factories in China. We call outsourcing. They build a factory and ship the machines from United States to China, and also fabrics for shoes and clothes. And they hire Chinese worker to make these things. And they pay a lot of money to the workers, but compared to United States, it's still cheap. I remember I told you my parents were making about $10 a month. Those people in the factories, they make $30 a month. And I remember that time, all the professors and doctors, and they were envy of these factory workers because they get paid so much and their working environment is pretty good. And they work only 8 hours, and they have dormitory to stay. They have uniforms, so they don't have to pay money to buy clothes. And they save a lot of money. So everybody envied them. And so a lot of the people from the countryside, they were peasants. They all went to the we call special economic zone to work in those factories and become factory workers. And when they make a lot of money, they have more than they need. They start to buy things. They start become fashionable. They want to do their hair, different style. They wear jewelry. They wear makeups because they have money to buy these things. And so stimulate the economy, and many more factories opened up because before, remember I said there's no cosmetics, no jewelries. Now there's factories started to make cosmetics, to make jewelries. The shops, before there's no beauty salons, just haircut. Now there's many beauty salons opened up, and to serve the people who has extra money. So that's how economy was developed and stimulated. That's how capitalism worked, because the need from the people. So Chinese government saw this opportunity. They said, "Oh, great! We want to be part of this, so we can be rich also." So the government started to open businesses and to invest in businesses, and especially because the government owned all the land. So they start to build nice buildings, apartments, or houses. And because people, when they have more money, after they're no longer hungry, and they're beautiful, but they also want a house to live, a bigger one. Before, the government give everybody houses, and they decide how many square feet per person. For example, my grandmother, before the communists came, they have a house. After the communists came, the communists said, it's not fair. Your house is so big. Other people don't have a big house like you. So they moved 3 families into our house. So we have to share our own home with 3 other families. I remember one family has 6 people. They have 4 children, and very crowded. We one kitchen, many stoves, everybody share. And one toilet, everybody shares. Many people share. That's the communists. They provide so-called equality. Then when the China turned into capitalism, people don't want to live in that kind of situation anymore. So they want to move to a house so they can live by themselves. They don't have to share kitchen and toilet with people they don't even know. So government saw this opportunity. They start building because they own the land. Or some developers, private developers, they pay the government bribe and get permission to use the government land to build. So that's a great opportunity to become very rich, because there's a huge demand for housing. China has a lot of people. So many high, beautiful apartment was built. And that provides a lot of job opportunities for the farmers from the countryside to come to the city and to build. So if you go to China today, you will see beautiful cities, sometimes prettier than New York or Paris and the big cities. But what I want to tell you today is, don't be fooled by what you see, because the most important thing is capitalism are not the same. Chinese style capitalism and the capitalism in the West or United States or Europe or even in your country is not the same, because it depends who invests. Investment is important for the economic growth, but who invests make a big difference. Government investment and private entrepreneurs' investment are not the same. In China, most investment, infrastructures, housing, and big factories, important factories like car and oil, those are government investment, government owned. So they're not sustainable, because government's intention and the private entrepreneur's intention to have a business are not the same. So today, China is in great danger. The economy will soon collapse, because the most important sectors in the businesses are invested by the government. And government, they don't have one owner. They have managers. They have CEOs. They have these people who manage and control the business, but government changed them. It's assigned by the government. It's not because they're smart enough or they have a good idea. They want to do this, help people, provide services, provide products. So they don't have a sense of ownership, and they don't have really a great desire to do a good job, because they might today they're CEOs, tomorrow they might just be moved to somewhere else or to be forced to retire. So what they do is when they become the CEOs or the manager of the business, the first thing they do is try to get as much money they can from collecting bribes or stealing from the businesses to make themselves very rich. So 4 years later, usually 4 years later, when they are moved, they already had enough for themselves. So they don't have really the desire to just to make the business grow or to make a better product, to serve people better. Not like a private entrepreneurs. They started a service or manufacturing or some any kind of business. Their intention to produce the best quality, to sell, they can sell to most people, so they can make a lot of profit. The profit came later. If they don't provide a good service, they don't make good product, they cannot sell their product, they don't have a good marketing skills, then they cannot be successful for their business. Only when their business is very successful, they have a lot of people love their products or services, then they become bigger and they make more money, and then they reward themselves. They become rich. So become rich is a good thing. Only they can provide value to the society, then they can become rich. So we have to love these people who are rich because they're doing a good job to serve other people. Without these rich people, we wouldn't have good products, good services. Without Steve Jobs, we won't have Apple products, iPhone, computers, iMac, everything. Without Bill Gates, we wouldn't have Microsoft. So Steve Jobs was very rich. Bill Gates is very rich. That's a good thing. We shouldn't hate them. We should love them. Because of their effort, we have all the convenience in our lives. So this is the beauty of capitalism. And also, because it's a free market, that's actually is more fair and equal than the communist style, because fairness, equal means equal opportunity. Doesn't mean equally distribute the products and the profit the government take from other people. Equal opportunity, that means equality. That's what we need to fight for, because we were born with equal opportunity. God gave us that, but government took it away from us. So we need to fight to keep that. Go back to my pencil story earlier. Isn't that would be better if you also have enough money to buy 10 pencils, or you know how to make pencils? It's much better than the teacher take the pencils from one student and give it to you. At the end, nobody had anything. So if you all have a lot of money, somebody can buy 5 pencils, somebody can buy 10 pencils, somebody can buy 100 pencils. That would be nicer. Everybody has. And the person who has 100 pencils, they can trade. So I don't need that many pencils. I need a book. I need a computer. So can I trade with you? Can I exchange with you? And somebody else have a lot of books and they can trade. So that's make everybody better off. We call it win-win situation. Everybody's better off. You win, I win. We all win together. no losers here. The one person have 100 pencil, one person have 5 pencil. It's not unfair. Because the person have 100 pencil, he doesn't need that much many. He can either sell to other people, exchange for something else he needs. The person who have 5 pencil, maybe he just need 5 pencils. He doesn't need more than 5. He's happy with it. So it's no other people's businesses to say it's not fair. We have to be everybody equal. So that's the beauty of the true capitalism. It means the government should not tell people what to do and what to have, what to have and how much, how many. It's not their business. Each individual, you and I, we have smart enough brain to know what I need. For me, I need just 1 pencil. And I probably want 10 pair of shoes. And you probably said, oh, 1 pair of shoes is enough for me. I don't need that much. I will use my money to buy candies. I like chocolate. It's all your decision. You know what's best for you. You know what you desire. You know what you want. So it's no other people's business to tell you, no, you can't do this. I remember when I was 12 years old, I didn't even have shoes. For 2 years, I did not have shoes to wear. Only because the government just controlled everything, controlled the economy. There's no store sell shoes. The village I lived. And my parents' salary is not enough to buy shoes for me. So I just didn't have it. And now I have many. I probably have 20 pairs of shoes because I love them. And so let me recap. Number 1, capitalism is beautiful. And the capitalism helped people to walk out of the poverty, help people become rich. Maybe not all at the same time, maybe all not the same richness, but at least everybody had the opportunity to become better. And also in China, the situation was the capitalism helped people become not hungry. Now in China, they're still very poor. A lot of places very poor, but most people, almost all the people are no longer starving. At least they have enough food to eat. Without the capitalism, that would not happen. The communism during the time from 1949 to 1979, 30 years, we were all hungry. The entire country, everybody was hungry and some are starving. Now, we're not equal. Some people in China are very rich. Some are still very poor, but at least everybody has enough food to eat. Number 2, investment is one of the main ingredient for economic stability. And not all the investment are the same. Private investment and government investment are totally different. And then another important segment for economic growth is consumption, means need or spending. Government spending and individual spending are not the same. In China, the spending, a huge portion of the spending is government spending. This is why I say Chinese style, so-called Chinese style capitalism is not real capitalism. And you should not copy Chinese model. And I know a lot of countries, including many African countries, they all want to copy Chinese style capitalism. No, because it's not sustainable. It's not going to last. It's going to collapse very soon, especially today. Chinese economy is on the verge of collapsing. We call it paper tiger. Looks like tiger, very scary, very strong, powerful, but it's made of paper. You poke a finger and paper will break. That's what we call today's Chinese economy. Okay, I will stop here, and I don't know if we have time for question or not. Is anybody there?
Oh, that was excellent, Lee. We're waiting for Roland. That was a wonderful presentation. Roland, are you ready to take over as the master of ceremonies, or do you have comments?
Do we have time for questions?
Hi, Roland.
No?
We can't hear you, Roland. We still see the students. Jacek, can you hear us?
Hello, hello,
Hey,
Mike.
Jacek.
Hello,
Hey.
Roland. Hello, everyone.
Okay, we're waiting for Roland. Hey, Roland. Okay. Now we can hear you. Did you? We can hear you. Were there any questions for Lee? Or,
we don't have any questions. Can you just move over to your presentation and then we can get back to her if there's any question?
Okay. Is Jacek next?
Yeah, yes, I.
Okay.
Okay.
Lee, thank you very much.
You.
Lee. That was wonderful. Big hand for Lee.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Roland, I'll turn it over to you to introduce Jacek. Maybe he can't hear me, Jacek.
Do you have?
You can go on and introduce yourself and continue. Jacek, go on.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yes.
Do you have slides, Jacek, that you want to present?
No, I will be just talking. Only.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
It's all you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Roland. I want to once again thank for invitation, because it is the first time I have a pleasure to speak to the Capitalist Awareness Day, to our audience worldwide, but especially these wonderful kids in Nigeria. Hello, kids. Hello, great to see you. You must be very young, but I see happy faces. I'm glad that situation is becoming slowly normal. Of course, not fully normal after COVID, this crazy disease, but we are very much looking forward to the normalcy to be back. You know, this is crazy disease. It touches entire world. I was in Colombia last month, in Latin America, South America. People had masks, all different restrictions. I traveled to Turkey a few months ago, the same thing. United States, a lot of this. I even see some people here in Nigeria with masks. It's incredible how international it is. But we don't want diseases to be international. We want freedom to be international. And here comes actually a few words about myself. My name is Jacek. It's not an English name. You can say similar. Jack is similar because there's only one letter difference. But my name in English is actually not Jack. My name in English is Hyacinth. So like a flower, not very popular, right? And not very cool, I think. Still, my name is quite popular in Poland. Are we able to hear the students if I ask question?
Yes,
because
I can hear you. Go on.
I want to ask a question. Who knows on which continent Poland is? Raise your hand if you know. Which continent is Poland? Raise your hand and give the answer.
Come forward and answer. Come forward. Somebody knows. Just hold on.
She knows?
Yeah. No, say it louder.
Yes. Wonderful. Yes, Poland is in Europe. I'm in Europe. So I have very similar time than you. Michael, who is behind the organization, of course, he woke up 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know if he told you, but he woke up very, very early just to meet you, the students in Nigeria. I didn't need to wake up that early. It's 1:50 p.m. in my country, only 1 hour difference from you. So if you come to Europe one day, it's going to be similar time. And so what I'm doing in Europe, I actually just live here, but I work for two organizations that promote freedom and capitalism. And today is Capitalism Awareness Day, and capitalism has a lot to do with freedom. And I will tell you a little bit about this in a moment. In my work, in first organization, Liberty International, so international organization promoting liberty, which is the same as freedom. We organize events around the world to promote the idea of free humans, free people who don't have control. There is no government control over them. There is no slavery. There is no limitation of speech, censorship, all these things. I'm sure you can feel what human freedom is about. Everybody feels in his or her heart. This is what we promote around the world. We had the event, big event in Colombia, South America, just 1 month ago. Lots of people from all over the world. We only missed Africans, and we wanted Africans to come. Just the governments make it impossible with that because they didn't grant so-called visa, which is allowance for travel. Next time, next year, we will have Africans. My second job in Poland, I have Freedom and Entrepreneurship Foundation. We promote very similar things, but we make big stress on entrepreneurship, which is another word for business. And this word is English, but it comes from French. It's basically about taking things in your hand and transforming it so they become very socially useful, because that is the essence of business. So I promote freedom, I promote entrepreneurship, so I promote business, and I like what I do. I like what I do because I deeply believe in these ideas. And it's good in general to do in your life what you believe in, what you are passionate about. At this point, you are in the school. So I hope you are passionate about learning. But since this is something each of you must do, because there is probably compulsory education, maybe not all of you love it. I can understand it. I can feel that. What is important that when the day comes, you will be making decisions is about your career, about your life, about who to live with, marry, whom to have family with, and who to have business with or to employ. Do it according to your heart. Do it according to your freedom and your passion and about what you truly feel deeply inside. So I have few questions, very few at the beginning. I just want to know more or less about your answers. And I know that not everyone can answer because it will be too loud. But Roland can come to microphone to, I don't know, the person who raised hand first. And this is already good. So I have this first question. In the school, you are in the school right now. Do you think that you should be judged according to your results in
Roland, can you hear me? It looks like Jacek.
We lost
has
Jacek,
some-
yeah. Okay.
He was just about to ask a great question.
Let's give him time.
Yeah, sure.
But I have a question I'll drop there right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I will log in with another system and then drop the question.
Hi, Jacek. Are you there?
Is he there? Okay, he's still trying to connect.
Okay.
Yes, I apologize. Something happened with internet connection. Do you hear me
Okay.
well?
Yes, now we can. Roland, can you
Okay,
hear
I
him?
have this
Yeah,
short
we can hear
question.
you. Go ahead.
Student, I have this short question. In the school, do you believe you should be judged according to your individual results in learning, or every student should get a good grade? Who wants to answer?
Want to answer? Conclude. Stand up. You can speak. Jacek, are you here?
Yes, I hear you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Well, I believe that everybody should, not really everybody should be judged by or given the same grades. They should all be judged by their individual performance.
Thank you.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you for your answer. I wanted to start with this because this principle of individual responsibility, a moral aspect, is essential for the system we call free market capitalism. For example, I could ask you other questions, but it will be just too long. I can ask you, do you believe that the decision should be made by yourself, or it should be made by the crowd? Should you follow the crowd or make your own decisions? Or I can ask you, do you better take care about your own business, about your own life affairs, or the government should perhaps take care about your affairs, especially after you finish school? Who should provide you a job? Government? Or maybe you should find a job or create a job even yourself. These questions are actually important because they tell you what is the mindset. And free market capitalism, which is the system that we are celebrating today and tomorrow during the Capitalism Awareness Days, created by Michael Malgary and in partnership with my organization, Liberty International, and Roland, obviously, our representative and great hero in Nigeria, making it loud, big, and fantastic. During these days, we need to not only celebrate, but discover and discuss what this free market capitalism is all about. This is a system, essentially, that is about private property, private belongings, private property, free exchange of this private property between individuals, between people. And this system can flourish only if there are certain healthy rules, healthy environment, I would say even moral environment around it. So one of these rules that create this healthy moral environment for free market capitalism to flourish is the individual responsibility for actions, for people have free will and they can do good and bad things. What is important is that they take consequences. Consequences could be good. You can call it rewards, and consequences can be bad. You can call it punishments. But you need to take it individually, not collectively. So, for example, in the school, you are students, you understand school very well. If you do something wrong, you don't learn, and you have a quiz and you don't score well, you should take the result, which is bad grade, not the entire class. So if John, I'm sure there is a John in your class, probably not one John. If John gets a bad mark in mathematics, he should get the bad mark. If he didn't learn, he should get the bad mark, not the entire class. We don't want the entire class to suffer because of the action of one person. Similar with positive rewards. They should be individual. That's one of the essentials. Another essential I want to talk about is that you're becoming, in free market capitalist system, very sovereign, very independent. You can say that you're becoming the master of your fate. You are free to take action, and for example, you can start business, or you can employ yourself somewhere, or you can be an artist, or all different kinds of things. And it's an environment that allows, the best environment that humanity discovered so far, allowing to flourish. To flourish meaning to grow, to do what you feel best about. So if you succeed, and capitalism make it the easiest to succeed among all the systems that exist, what you can do when you succeed and get richer, you can, for example, that's an example only because you're free, you can start helping people who are sick, for example. You know, sick people, they are limited with their capabilities because they are sick. It's noble to help sick people. Only in the system that allows you to flourish and accumulate wealth, you can actually start helping others. In a different systems that are restricting economic activity, making it very hard to possess private property, to exchange private property, to become who you want to become, systems that are about politics, about government, about heavy approach. Unfortunately, systems that dominate in most of the world, even in Africa, those systems, people are too poor to help others. They are asking for help themselves. So doing the acts of love towards other people, actually, in contradiction to what media say, what politicians say, these actions of love to other people are possible only in capitalist environment, free market capitalism, the very system we discuss these days during Capitalist Awareness Days. High ethics of work, it's also essential for capitalism to flourish. What it means at the work, in school, elsewhere, we don't cheat each other. So when we have an exam in the school, we are not, for example, using additional materials. If you work in a restaurant, bar, for someone, he hires you, you don't steal his money from the cashier, or you don't take the food when he doesn't watch. So these are very important things because they make the system, free market capitalist system, the system we discussed today and tomorrow, they make it possible. If people start behaving unethical, start stealing when someone doesn't watch, this system will work much worse. we need moral foundations for capitalism. And capitalism works very, very good when morality is, when ethics is on the high level. Okay, so capitalism is also very creative, innovative, because you, in the capitalist system, you create goods for people who need it. This is the only the motivator, the information, like what should I do when I'm older? I finish the school and I want to start small business. How am I informed about what to do? You are informed by the needs of other people. So you start thinking, okay, I like making music, and in my country they like reggaeton, and actually I can sing reggaeton songs. They don't listen to rap music in Nigeria. So I will not do rap music. I cannot even do this, but I'm good in reggaeton and they are listening to reggaeton. I'll do reggaeton music. And there is, I produce it and people go to my concerts. They pay Naira, the local currency, to come to the concert. They are happy because they can dance and twerk and whatever. And I'm happy because I produce reggaeton music that I love, enjoy. Same time, I make money and I can support myself, I can support my family, and I can flourish. I can be happy because it's about happiness, right? First, you feed yourself, you're hungry, then you do other things because you want to become happy. And capitalism doesn't promise happiness, of course not, but capitalism creates environment, a necessary environment, so you can do things that will make you happy. So it's like necessary condition. It doesn't provide happiness, but it creates a condition that you can use for your own happiness later. So what is the alternative? Because I'd say capitalism this, capitalism that. What is the alternative? Very quickly, I believe alternative is system where politicians have a lot to say. And I was once at the meeting with African students in Ukraine, the country in East Europe. And they were all African students. They were fantastic people. I love them. Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, whatever. What was my, I had lots of great adventures with these people. One thing that made me wonder was when I asked them who you want to be in the future. A lot of people said, I want to be a politician. And that made me a little bit worried because the job of the politician is exactly opposite of the job of the, for example, small businessman or a pet or someone who works for businessman. Why? Because they have completely different, this is completely different mentality. Instead of win-win philosophy, I provide value, you provide value. We can, both sides, the client and the producer can grow, they can add value. In the political mindset is zero-sum game. If a politician provides something to people, that means he needs to take from other people and he needs to feed bureaucracy in between. So the job of politician, and I'm talking about politician of big government, of big government that can decide about a lot of things. The politician that many people desire to become, strong politician. Strong politician is making all these decisions about how to take from one people and give it to other people. And this is the completely different system than free market capitalism. It's zero-sum game. It's about taking from ones, giving to others, and it's not creating. It does not create wealth. It does not create happiness. It creates usually divisions, and it's about strength. People. What is decisive is that not the needs of the people don't decide who is winning on the market, who is successful. Hey, he fulfills the needs because he produced computers. bananas, whatever. No. In the system where politics dominate, where government dominate, who wins? The ones who know the politician. They know the politician and they get contract, or they get allowance. In free market capitalism, we don't ask politicians if we can sell bananas, if we can sell whatever. We just go and do it. We find clients or not. The system of politicians is when we ask, hey, Mr. Politician, can I get allowance to sell bananas? And politician says, no, because you need to corrupt me first. Give me money. I want to be strong. I am in Abuja. I need money. And then you either say, okay, I don't have money, and you remain poor, or if you are a big guy, you go to Abuja, you pay the money and gets allowance, license from politician. Now he can sell bananas. Only he can sell bananas, or only he can sell computers. Doesn't matter what good. It's corrupt. It's the system that feeds corruption. And I know corruption is a big problem in your country and in other countries. Free market capitalism system we celebrate today and tomorrow is a system that decreases corruption almost to zero. There's no one to ask. I just go to the street and I show you my bananas. I show you my computers. You buy them, you don't buy them. This is what makes decision. So why do you need capitalism in your lives? You need it because each of you, and I can see it in your faces, your eyes, each of you has some talent. One of you can play guitar. Another of you can draw very nicely. Another is a good singer. Another can dance reggaeton. I know that. I know you guys are awesome. And you all have some talents. The free market capitalism system that we discuss and celebrate, it's the environment for the talents so that they can fully flourish and they can actually present what is their passion, what they are best at, and exchange this with other people on the market. That way they can grow and they can support themselves and their families. In the opposite system, where politics dominate, politicians, government, only the ones who have connections, they can flourish. 90% remain poor, asking with hand, and this is what politicians want, because politicians want to be strong, and they are only strong when the majority is poor and weak. When the majority is also strong, politicians are not that strong anymore because they cannot rule. Their power, there's still a job of politician, but their power is limited. Limited power of politicians. This is what is the system I recommend you, where politicians are not strong, they are weak, and where people are strong. And this is what free market capitalism can provide. This is what it can offer you. So you need the free market capitalist system to realize your dreams, to become what you want to become. Finally, to be able to help other people, maybe the sick people, in every family there's someone sick, to flourish, to become happy. This is why you need free market capitalism. And there is the book. I want to send you a link. Of course, you should read Michael Malgary's book, Johnny Prophet, and you should read Jonathan Gullible Adventures. That's the first two books you should read. But I have this book. It's in Polish, actually, by Karl Hess, Capitalism for Kids. And obviously, it is in English. And I found free PDF. So those of you who have access to computer, internet, I will be happy to send you a link. I will send it to Roland. Because perhaps this is something interesting for you. It can open your eyes for world of unlimited opportunities, and the world is really amazing. I will send it to Roland. I know it's already 15 minutes later than I should finish, so I want to thank you a lot, and I'm happy to take questions if Roland allows questions to be asked.
All right, thank you. Please, David. Have any question? If you have anyone that has any question, can you come forward and ask the question? All right, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I have some couple of questions that people sent in. This is if we said African countries should not copy the China capitalism, what do you think should be the best way to revive African economy?
The best way to introduce capitalist economy?
Yes, to revive capitalist economy. African economy.
Yes. So there is no shortcut. China model, whatever, American model, Scandinavia model. Don't look too much about these models. The shortcuts don't exist. When it comes to individual level, like each one of you, follow your passion and try to think how can you basically offer your gifts, your talents, or products of your talents to other people in the future. When you finish, I don't say you being that young, you should do this, but being a teenager, why not? When you will be 15, 16, or 17, it's good time to start thinking of how can you offer the products of your talents to other people through some small business, maybe. It's very healthy, and it can start from very, very small level. So what I want to say also is that don't wait for politicians to make Nigeria free market capitalism, and then only then you start thinking how to. No, start already thinking about yourself, how to become productive, how to become free marketeer in your own life without looking at politicians. Second part of the answer is that about introduction on the government level, and this is hard. You need smart people in Nigeria. You can look at Botswana, for example. Botswana had very smart leader back in 70s or 80s who basically introduced a free market capitalism model where all the businesses were welcomed, where there were no license. Most businesses didn't require any license, any approval, any. What I try to tell you is that the political system opposite to capitalism, when the politicians make decisions, you don't want them to make decisions. They should be much weaker about deciding. Only then freedom can flourish. So I wish Nigeria will find similar leader as Botswana found a long time ago, and Botswana continues on this. It's one of the most successful countries in Africa, not only because of diamonds. It's despite of the diamonds. So read more about Botswana. If you find materials about Botswana, that's an African country. Don't look too far to China. Don't look too far to Scandinavia or other countries. Try Botswana and try to emulate. So capitalism on individual level, also political level, things can be changed. But first of all, try to be capitalist yourself as a human person. Politics is not most important, you know. Sometimes it's hard to try to change politics, but you can change yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jacek. Thank you very much. Thank you. Michael?
Yes.
We have to do the good bit of Professor Ken Schooland, and then you can come on board and do your presentation. Do you mind making me a co-host so that I can share the screen together with the students?
I think you should be able to share the screen now.
All right, thank you. So once you just show you a short video, and then we'll go back to Michael's presentation and then we're done. How many of us have received the book at the library? No, sorry, not this one. The one that talked about Adventures of Jonathan Godwin. So he was supposed to talk, it was not a part of this presentation, but he couldn't make it. But he has a good message for us to watch. So I'll just play it and then we'll just listen to it. And then we'll just go back to Michael's presentation and we're done with it. Those of you that have not gotten your drinks, we'll work on it and you get your drinks shortly, so calm down. And then also, today we are going to do presentation of the essay winners. So if you are part of it, just calm down and we're going to do that and reward them immediately. Thank you very much.
All right, Michael, I'm coming. I'm trying to play the video.
Okay.
I'm trying to share the document. I'm coming. I don't know why it's not coming up.
It looks like it's starting.
Okay, I'm coming. Okay, we have. Okay, maybe we should go on with your presentation or that of Marina.
Yeah, let's do Marina's.
Okay, let's do Marina and then we can go back to that. So Marina will speak and then you speak up. So Marina can do 10 minutes and then you do, and then we'll go. All right? All right, so let's go.
Okay.
Marina. So Marina can speak.
Hi,
Okay.
Marina.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking to you from the UK, and it's a great pleasure to be here and talking to African young people again. I've actually visited Nigeria and Uganda just a few years ago, and I was really impressed with your countries, the energy, the buzz, and especially how many vibrant people are working so hard and achieving so much, even under challenging circumstances. We'll be looking at some of the successful capitalists in your countries, just a few of them, and see what they're doing to make their nations grow and prosper. So let's have a look at what we're going to be looking today. And did he say 10 minutes only? Because I've got about 20, if that's all right.
I think that should be okay.
All right. Right. So we're looking at successful African capitalists and how free enterprise can save developing economies. We'll consider why African nations need to progress, especially Nigeria, and it's all about the demographics, how capitalism and free enterprise is essential. We'll look at some successful African capitalists, giving you visions of prosperity. And finally, what is needed for a country to progress. Well, it's all about demographics. Currently, there's about 7 billion people in the world today. Actually, it's more, growing obviously all the time. But we'll look at how 7 billion people are distributed. We've got Europe over there in the yellow, Asia, which includes India, China, Australasia, and most of the Middle East. We've got Africa, of course, and the American continents, both America and Canada. So how are they distributed? Well, the world population is, as I said, getting on to 7.7 billion now. 4 of those billions are in Asia currently. 1 billion only in Europe, 1 in Africa, 1.3 billion growing as we speak, and 1 for the Americas. But look what's going to happen by the end of 2100. It's predicted that Asia's population will have increased by 1 billion, but African population will have quadrupled, increased 4 times. Why? Well, they currently have the largest concentration of young people in the world. The average age in Africa is 20 and 43 in Europe. The average number of babies in Africa is 4.4. In Europe, it's only 1.6, and that includes England, where I live. Yeah, I don't know what 0.6 babies look like, but that's averages for you. In Asia, interestingly enough, it's 2.2, and they're reducing even further. As they become wealthier, people choose to have smaller families because they know that they'll all survive. And that will probably happen in Africa as well. So 40% of the population in Africa is under 15, 16% in Europe. But look what else is interesting about these statistics. And don't take my word for them. Look at gapminder.org. That's where I've got them from. And they, in turn, have got them from other reputable sources. I do recommend you look up gapminder.org. It's a wonderful site. So what used to be the affluent West, which comprises of America, Canada, and Western Europe only, will be 8% in the future. The remaining 92% are economies that we call developing now. So that's a very interesting phenomena, isn't it? Not that it would matter in the slightest, where if we live in a global interconnected world where all human rights are respected as we would wish. So why do African nations need to progress? As we said, the future is African and Asian. When the population stabilizes at 11 billion people, 4 billion of them will be African. 36% of the population of the entire planet. You're very important. Africa has the largest concentration of young people in the world. And since Nigeria is the largest African nation, you hold the key to the future of the planet. It's a humanitarian imperative that you develop and develop fast. You must be able to feed your own people, trade across Africa and globally to improve your standard of living, enjoy a wider variety of consumer products, and become an equal player in a peaceful international community. Your governments are not able to deliver on these aspirations. Most political leaders are just interested in their own welfare. Progress will only become possible with capitalism and free enterprise. It's up to you, young people. No pressure. Well, how is capitalism and free enterprise essential? Enterprising people seek ways to give value to their fellow men and women by offering goods and services that others want, the essence of moral capitalism. What makes it moral? Because it's based on choice, voluntary free trade between individuals. Successful traders must meet the needs of others. Otherwise, nobody would buy their product or their service. It's not about big business and having large amounts of capital. Any small trader with humble assets is still a capitalist. Remember, every big business started small. Human capital is the most important resource, your talent, skills, and ambitions. So let's have a look at some examples of successful entrepreneurs. That is, innovative, risk-taking, creative capitalists. Here's our first successful capitalist, Herman Chinnery Hess. He's a software entrepreneur from Ghana, sometimes described as the Bill Gates of Africa. After a degree in manufacturing, he decided his computers could manufacture solutions. Hess's company offers tropically tolerant software that takes account of Africa's frequent power outages. I'm sure you all know about those. I remember encountering those when I lived there for a few weeks. Every night, the power would just go off. And I had to learn to switch different power supplies because they had their own generator. And I knew that 3 o'clock in the morning when the power went off, I could switch the plugs to the local generator and my fridge could still work. Well, Hess's company went from strength to strength. There he is in his own home, and that's his office down there below. He called it the Soft Tribe, software solutions for a growing Africa. However, he also thinks his business has suffered from foreign aid, as he cannot compete with free donations. And this is a real problem with many local businesses. And they conclude that foreign aid often does more harm than good. So we're part of the problem, I'm afraid, as well. And you really shouldn't be asking for foreign aid very much if you could help it. You need to learn to stand on your own. Poverty Cure, a series of excellent DVDs, deals with this issue in more depth, and I strongly recommend that you have a look. If you have access to these links, I've given you a start there, a trailer to it. Well, Hesse is now an outspoken advocate for African-led industry, and he's won numerous awards for his work. I hope he'll continue to grow from strength to strength and really does become the Bill Gates of Africa. Let's look at successful capitalist number 2, Sylvia Banda. She runs Silver Food Solutions, a large food distribution company in Zambia. From humble beginnings, serving home-cooked food from her own kitchen, she now runs a large empire in Zambia with restaurants, cooking schools, food production, and more. She's become one of the largest food producers in the country. So wealthy that eventually her executive husband left his lucrative job to join her company. Sylvia is a product of Zambia's economic liberalisation that has seen the entire country advance remarkably since conditions for businesses improved from the 1990s. Now, Jacek mentioned Botswana being a great success story, and it's true, but it's not the only one. There are other rising stars, and Zambia is one of them now too. And it's all down to economic freedoms. A new government allowed a much more user-friendly business environment, and they are also growing from strength to strength. Here's some of Sylvia's products on the shelves of the local supermarkets. Do have a look at that link as well, if you can. That video comes from Johan Norberg, who produces excellent series of videos talking about progress in Africa and around the world. And I can't recommend him highly enough. Johan Norberg, if you can look him up, please do. And as I said, I've given you a link there to get the ball rolling. Now, who do we have next? Our third entrepreneur. Akon, perhaps you've heard of him. He's an African-American singer and pop star, originally from Senegal. He's building a massive futuristic city, Akon City, which will provide thousands of jobs and develop Senegal. It will give a vision of what successful Africans can do. And this city was inspired by Wakanda, the wealthy African metropolis showcased in the film Black Panther. Perhaps some of you have seen it. Good fun. Akon has invested his own money and persuaded other investors to raise the required $6 billion to grow this amazing city. There he is in front of an image of what it will look like. And beside that is one of the restaurants in the resort areas that will be located in that city. And here it is in glorious colour, a futuristic vision indeed, isn't it? We can all wish and hope that this will certainly come to fruition. The people of Senegal, if not Africa as a whole, will benefit immeasurably from it. Who do we have next? Magatte Wade. Now, I hope you'll remember her name because she is enormously influential. She's a successful entrepreneur in the beauty industry, an activist and public speaker from Senegal also, selling skincare products made locally to international markets, including America. Now, that's no mean feat because you can imagine the cosmetics industry in America is hugely competitive, and she is selling local products to the American market. Not content with being a successful capitalist, bringing wealth and employment opportunities to her country, she's also an impassioned speaker for economic freedom. She claims African countries are poor because their governments make it hard to do business in them. And this is confirmed by the World Bank's global ease of doing business ranking. Again, something else for you to look up. On a table of about 200 nations in the world, you'll see that currently many African nations, not all, but many, are very low in that table. And it's because she claims that it's hard to do business in them. She challenges African governments to remove restrictive regulations and make it easier to set up and run businesses. Then entrepreneurs will do the rest. Here she is giving her powerful and popular message in an influential TED Talk. TED Talks are also highly recommended. You'll find them all over the web. Magatte Wade, please do remember her name. Our next capitalist, John Demello, another one from the entertainment industry. He's a successful actor turned farmer from Ghana, popular movie actor who also operates acres of farmland, growing different types of crops and rearing animals. Now, he's a graduate in civil engineering, and he became an actor while still at school and has starred in scores of films. He's also an entrepreneur with a clothing line and in agribusiness. He's a proud farmer, breeding cattle, goats, grass cutters. I've just discovered that grass cutters are a small rodent that people like to eat. Why not? Source of protein. Pigs and snails. Again, another source of protein. Don't knock it till you've tried it. As well as growing maize to sell and to feed his animals. Here he is with his snail farm. He claims farming is a lucrative business, and it's not just about working hard, but working smart. He advises youth to get involved in agriculture to grow wealth steadily. Very true. You need an agricultural revolution so that you can actually use all the land, the great fertile land that you have, productively. In his own words, Demello says, last year my company did 34 acres, but this year, 2019, we are doing over 1,500 acres of maize. which will feed thousands of homes across the country and create over 150 direct and indirect jobs. Here's our last successful entrepreneur, Samson Ogboli, a farming entrepreneur from Nigeria who grows crops in the air. Ogboli blends technology with agriculture to produce food crops, pushing for zero hunger while also addressing climate change with sustainable methods. He's doing this using aeroponics, and that's a process of growing plants in the air without using soil or water as a medium. You might think, well, we have lots of soil in Nigeria. Yes, but you also get your food often comes from northern areas down to the south. This is a way of growing food in the cities where it's needed immediately. So aeroponics uses controlled moisture in a mist-laden environment where the roots are exposed to the environment and obtain all their nutrients from it. It's an advanced method of developing plant growth and is the fastest way to grow plants than any other method. Don't take my word for it. Look up the website, aeroponicsdiy.com, and you'll read all about it. Perhaps some of you will be working with aeroponics in the future. Ogboli is on a mission to produce food sustainably and in abundance for the African market. Here he is with some of his impressive yields that many Nigerians find amazing, or Africans around the continent, and indeed people around the world find this very impressive to be done without soil. Well, this is just a taster of many thousands, millions of small and large traders across the continent who've got the energy, drive, and talent to transform their economies. But they can't do it alone. They need proper institutions to help them. So I'll conclude by looking at some of the institutions that your countries need to be able to advance further. Firstly, you need rule of law. Now, not just any old laws, wise laws that protect life, liberty, and property. Not arbitrary laws that only encourage bribery and corruption. Investors need to be confident that their assets will be protected legally. You need free trade, the ability to trade beyond local markets. A small market gives a small choice of goods. The larger the market, the greater the variety of goods on offer and at cheaper prices. The African continental free trade area is a great step forward. It's predicted to lift 30 million people out of extreme poverty and raise incomes for another 68 million more. World trade will do even more for Africa. Implementing ACTFA is expected to boost Africa's income by 450 billion by 2035. You might think these are just statistics. Indeed, but they're based on very good predictions because people can see the benefits of trade, and you need to realize and get your own governments on board to the African continental free trade Africa. Most of them have ratified their agreement, but they're not doing anything about it yet. This is something that all Africans should be working towards. Make their governments accountable. Tell them, don't just join up, actually do it. Tear down the borders between African nations. Allow Kenya to trade with Uganda. Allow Nigeria to trade with South Sudan. Allow Egypt to trade with Botswana. All of them once traded together peacefully before colonialism, and which unfortunately put up artificial national barriers. You don't need those national barriers in order to be able to trade amongst yourselves. Make sure that you can. That's what you need to progress. Well, what else is needed? Land and property rights that are officially recognized so ownership is secure and people have incentives to produce and improve their assets. This is vitally important. Something else that you need to get on board. You know, you probably know that you've heard of cases where people have been thrown off their land because they don't have proper registration to it. Something else that you need to work towards, getting land registered so that you know it's yours forever. And finally, we've already mentioned the ease of doing business, minimizing regulations, licenses, customs duties, tariffs, taxes, keeping them all as low as possible so that businesses can thrive and grow. Promoting any or all of these will have far-reaching positive consequences for your countries, alleviating poverty, enriching individual lives, and fostering global peace. African youth, the future is yours. It's worth fighting for. Thank you very much.
That was wonderful, Marina. Great message. I think Roland is coming back online here. We can't hear you yet, Roland. Can't hear you, Roland. No, can you hear him? Marina, can you hear Roland?
No.
Yeah, he's speaking. Let me text him.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, yes, now we can hear you.
All right. For one to become a capitalist, does it mean that you have to be wealthy or be a businessman before you can become a capitalist? That's one of the questions. Then the second question is, does all capitalists have to be successful? So you can tackle this in 2 minutes. Thank you.
For me?
Sure, do you want to try that, Marina?
Yeah. Well, certainly capitalists do not have to be wealthy by any means. You know, a person selling a basket of yams from their head is still a capitalist. Yeah, it's a system. It's not about having wealth. Any trader is a capitalist as long as they're freely trading. What was the second question?
The second question is, does capitalists have to be successful?
Of course not. Many aren't. Most aren't. You know, when you start a business, it's hard work. You learn by your mistakes. And lots of people who start businesses fail. That's part of the process. It's part of the learning process. No, I've given you the examples of the best ones. For every one of those, there are many who haven't been successful. It's not easy. It's not easy. That's the challenge of life.
All right. Thank you very much, Marina. Thank you very much.
Yes.
You can do your presentation maybe as fast as possible because we don't have a favorable weather right now. So
Okay, you want me to start my presentation now?
Yes, immediately. Yes. Thank you very much, Maria.
Okay. I will do it. Can you see my screen, Roland?
Definitely, we can.
You see that it says capitalism is not selfish?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm going to go as quickly as possible, and I hope you all enjoy this presentation. So the point I want to get across to all of you today is that capitalism is not selfish. Many times you hear that it is, that the capitalist only thinks about yourself. about themselves, but we're going to follow the entrepreneur's journey. And hopefully I can convince you that's definitely not the case. So first, let's look at what capitalism is doing for the world. It's really helping to end worldwide hunger. And I will give this presentation to Roland so you guys can have it. But today, only about 9% of the world is under what's called food insecurity. Whereas back in 1970, it was about 34%. Also, capitalism is helping to end poverty, extreme poverty. Only about 10% of the world is under extreme poverty today. And then life expectancy. In the 1800s, that was over 200 years ago, life expectancy in the United States, which was a wealthy country then compared to others, was less than 40 years. Today, it's over 80 years. Capitalism helps cure diseases and helps cure our bodies. You see at the bottom, these were people that had major accidents, but they can now, someone without a leg can run, and we have prosthetic arms and hearing devices and visual devices. Capitalism creates jobs for everyone. And capitalism has built beautiful cities throughout the world. Hopefully you young people will get to visit many of them. Capitalism with robots and self-driving cars make us more productive. We don't have to fear artificial intelligence and robots. They can be very powerful assistants for human beings. And now many of you, if you're watching TV or the internet, you could see that the average citizen is going into outer space. We now have citizen space travelers, and entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson want to make space travel a commodity, meaning that everyone can do it. So capitalism helps us enjoy life, whether it's through music or entertainment or fitness. So why do they call capitalism selfish? Well, let's look at the definition of selfishness. Selfish means that a person thinks only of oneself, regardless of others. And you're going to see that the capitalist, the entrepreneur, has to think of everybody else along with themselves and to help make other people successful. These are some of the synonyms of capitalism, and you can see that they're all very negative. Okay? But are capitalists really that way? Well, if capitalism is so successful, is it really selfish? Well, we're going to prove that it's not. And we're going to go on the entrepreneur's journey. So first of all, how does the entrepreneur become successful? Well, they have an idea. They want to solve a problem. They want to take on a new challenge. They want to make a positive impact. And they want to improve lives. So this is at the very beginning, thinking about other people, other people's problems and challenge and how to make other people's lives good. The founders, usually it's not just one capitalist that gets together. It's a group of people that build a company, and they're all focused on other people's problems, challenge, how they can impact their lives and how to make it better. Entrepreneurs then have to get investors. They put up some of their money, but they have to make sure that they address the risk that the investors take and make sure that the investors get a reward in the end. And then entrepreneurs they work with other partners, the suppliers, the people that help them advertise, their wholesalers and distributors. Please make note that they're not being selfish. They have to think about satisfying all these people. And then there are the people that work for them. They have to give them salary, make sure they're safe, make sure they get vacation and health care and training and have a career path. And then finally, it's the customers. These are all different industries. home buying, retail. This is Starbucks, and this is the Apple store. This is car buying. Customers need to be satisfied before the entrepreneur can be successful. And in the end, the entrepreneur is often the last one to get paid. If he doesn't satisfy his customers, he's not going to get a return on his investment and make money for himself. You heard Lee Schoolin talk about socialism. Socialism leads to what's called a dystopia. That's a very, very scary society where you have to obey, you have to comply, you have to submit to the leaders and the dictator, and you're not supposed to question or ask any questions, and you're not supposed to think for yourself. In China, they're using technology like image recognition to look at people's faces as they're walking in society or going about their everyday lives. This is very, very dangerous. They're giving people social credit scores, and they're rewarding people that smile or act according to their what they prescribe, and they're punishing people that don't. You could be punished for not smiling. And this is a very, very scary view of society. These artificial intelligent robots that we want to help us someday could become those scary Terminator-like robots that watch you every day and become your masters. So this is what socialism can lead to. But capitalism, on the other hand, can deliver global happiness. You can have vacations, wonderful vacations. You'll be seeing inventions like flying cars. The healthcare system is getting very much improved with wonderful drugs and devices that can increase our abilities and make us overcome injuries. And then they're helping families and lead wonderful lives. So how can you guys help? Well, you may have heard of the Rock Me movement. Rock Me stands for Rewards of Capitalism, Knowledge, Morality, that's very important, and Empowerment. We want to empower the youth to be influencers for capitalism. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, as they say, is to become a Rock Me star, create global, worldwide awareness of the morality of capitalism, and try to help expose the evils of socialism. And what you can do is to engage in social media with these tags like Rock Me Stars, and capitalism. One of the things a capitalist can do is to start a blog. Anyone can get on the internet and write an article. Spread your ideas. Don't be shy. If you can contact lawmakers and politicians, ultimately you have to try and change the political system. Talk to your parents, encourage others to discuss capitalism with young people, but never stop being diligent against socialism. And work with if you're in a religious group, work with your religious leaders to spread the idea that capitalism is moral. Religious leaders do try to spread morality throughout society. Help them believe that capitalism is a good thing. And last year we started Rock Me Stars. These are pictures of you guys. Thank you very much for starting this movement. This was the first Rock Me Star Club. There was a logo contest, and that was the winner. Congratulations to the winner. And the call to action is to spread the word. Remember, capitalism is good. It's moral. And just my closing remarks here. Speak out loudly and proudly about capitalism, because the socialists, they're not going to remain quiet. They are going to speak out. You don't have to be disrespectful. You have the facts on your side. Never, ever give up. And these are a few people in the United States that, if you can follow them, this is the young Candace Owen, this is Charlie Kirk, who's working with universities, and this is Ben Shapiro. I'm sure there in Africa, many of you could become very influential. And if you can, become a Rock Me Star, create a Rock Me Star club, a Rock Me club. And finally, remember that capitalism is bringing out all these good things in society. So happy Global Capitalism Awareness Day. And thank you very much, guys. Hi, Roland. I hope that wasn't too quick. I'll send you these slides. I know you have a lot to do.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. We have a question for you
Sure.
from one of the students. Please, does capitalism mainly deal on making or doing things that will satisfy others?
I'm sorry, Roland. I didn't hear that question. It wasn't clear.
Okay. You can hear me now, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Does capitalism mainly deal on making or doing things that will satisfy others? That's the question.
Oh, I think that you said the question was, does capitalism allow you to do things to help others? If that was the question, then yes, an enthusiastic yes. An entrepreneur, a capitalist, has to satisfy a lot of people and groups before the capitalist can be successful. And ultimately, the capitalist must satisfy the customer. Remember, it's all voluntary. As a customer, you do not have to work with a capitalist. You don't have to buy the capitalist products. You will only buy it if the capitalist, the entrepreneur, meets your need. So that is probably the main statement that proves why a capitalist is not selfish. The capitalist has to satisfy you as a customer.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. You've done well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So I think it's time for us to call the winner for the evening contest. Are you okay with that? Michael, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, Roland.
Yeah, I said, is it okay for you to announce the essay winner and then we'll give reward while you're out? Maybe you can call the name of the person. I mean, mention the top essay. Yeah.
Sure. I sent that name to you. Hopefully, I can find it. It was.
Can you stop sharing your screen so that we can see you as well?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Boy, I'm trying to do that.
Let's get to mention the name of the essay winner and we'll go take pictures and that's the end. Is there anyone that doesn't have green? You don't have green, raise up your hand. Just one person, you don't have.
Okay, I stopped sharing, Roland. Now we're looking for the winner of
Yeah, Michael. Yeah.
Yes.
So just call the name of the winner.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Roland. The winner. Are you ready?
Yeah, we are ready.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank those that participated. I thought all the essays were very, very good. And everyone did a wonderful job. The winner, in my opinion, was Sabina Ibindo. Hopefully I said that right. Let's give that person a wonderful round of applause.
Are you there? Yeah, the winner is Sabina, right?
Sabina, yes, that was the winner.
All right, she. All right, Michael, thank you very much. While you are still online, we'll do the presentation and then we'll go out for photograph. Sorry, you will be part of the photograph, but you get to see the photograph. All right, thank you. So thank you very much, Michael. So
You're welcome.
We should give Sabina an opportunity to say something. All right. All right. Sabina, can you see now? I'm not sure.
Oh, could she sit so we could see her face? Yeah, come down a little bit, Sabina. Yeah, that's wonderful. She's very beautiful.
Sabina, our champion for the second Global Capitalism Awareness Essay Competition. So, Sabina, say something.
Thank you for sharing the African economy, and thank you for giving the privilege to write about capitalism.
Okay, did you hear her? Did you hear her?
Yes, I can hear you.
But I didn't hear what Sabina said.
I'm sorry.
Did you hear what Sabina said? Did you hear what Sabina said?
I didn't understand it very well, I'm afraid.
Sorry. She's going to try it one more time. She's going to say it one more time, and then you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. So hello, please stop. So she'll say it one more time, and please pay attention for her.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks for giving us talking about capitalism. I really appreciate it.
All right, she said thank you for the opportunity to write about the African economy. That thank you for the opportunity for her to participate for that essay. So that's just her own appreciation from this end. Thank you very much, Michael.
Yes, she's very welcome. Wonderful job.
So on behalf of Liberty International and Peace for Peace by Michael and other partners working with us to carry out the global capitalism awareness, we are giving you this as a reward for your music competition. Michael, so you go outside for photographs, so you get to see the photographs later. I'll send you photographs. All right, so Michael, are you in order? So at that end of the program from your own end.
Okay, you want me? I can end it on my end now.
So go outside for photograph right now. So we are going outside for photograph, and then we'll say goodbye to sports. Okay, Michael, I think Michael, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I wanted one of the schools to give a feedback. I mean, the whole schools to give a principal of the school should give a feedback for us. It was part of what they need to do, right?
Roland, your audio is coming in and out. Yeah, you must maybe talk slower.
Okay, I wanted one of the teachers to give us a closing remark before we go outside for the photograph.
Oh, okay. Closing remarks would be wonderful.
All right.
All right. Good afternoon.
Hi.
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 How are you here?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. On behalf of the school, this Tamwills Education Center, on behalf of the director, the principal, the staff and students of the school, want to really appreciate you and other, speakers today for really giving us the opportunity and giving my students the opportunity to write on this essay, how capitalism can rebuild Africa's economy. I think most of them that participated or that wrote the essay today, they have also been rewarded, more especially Sabina. And this will also encourage other students to participate next time. And we expect more from you people. This is what we want from you people from time to time. We expect such things to come in or to come to us, or to come to our students, so that to give them the exposure to also, write on it. And one day, I think they will also grow to also speak on how capitalism can rebuild Africa's economy. Thank you so much, and God bless all of you.
Thank you.
I hope you have this recording. I hope you are recording. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Marina.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you, Marina, as well. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.